Okay, so tell me about the story. First, introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Tino Grome.
Tino Grome.
Tino Grome.
Tino Grome.
I'm from Los Manos, about 15 miles east of here, or west of here.
Okay.
And Lynn is my wife.
And this is Lynn. She's one of our track girls that does a great job and is always yelling at me. For good reason too. I don't deny that.
So I was involved with Joe Davis. He had a fly-in, a vintage fly-in. And all these planes would come, they come from Southern California, from the coast, from Stockton. And we'd have a dinner dance, and we still do have it.
I saw some videos of it.
Okay, so
some more birds.
I used to go to the car show in Dos Palace, which is 15 miles from here, and with my chop top 30 Model A coupe that I built in 1962. So I would come here for the fly-in, then I would go to Dos Palace with my chop top coupe. Well, one day, people kind of cleared out here. I'm kind of almost one of the last people here. This guy, Rocky Phillips, comes over here, and he says, I'm looking for Joe Davis, the guy that owns this place. I said, well, Joe's here somewhere, I'm not sure where. And he says, well, I want to have a drag race, and I think this would be a good place to have it. I said, you want a drag race in Joe Davis's backyard? Joe Davis lives here.
He lives in the house up front?
That's correct. That's the administration building. So I said, Joe Davis is an airplane guy. I don't think he knows how to spell drag racing. Now, I've been drag racing ever since I could walk.
Okay.
But he says, well...
Oh, excuse me, going back to when? What was your first car?
My first car, 49 Ford Coupe, 1955.
Then spend more, what, 500 bucks for it?
No, 30 bucks for it.
30 bucks?
Oh, okay. You didn't, I paid 25 bucks for the 30 Model A Coupe, complete car, all original. And that was a lot of money because the going price for them then was like 15 and 20.
Right. And this is the conversation I had with my dad, all the cars, he's on the 100 and he can name them all. So anyway, back to your story.
Anyway, Rocky says, well, will you help me talk to Joe Davis about that drag racing here? I said, yeah, I'd love to. So Rocky, Joe, and I, we talked about this drag racing thing. Joe didn't want any part of it. He just didn't see where he could benefit from it.
Now, what's his source of income? Does he own farmland? Or is he,
no.
He just owns this property?
This is his property.
So any income he derives comes from this?
Well, Joe Davis worked for a farming company. He was a computer programmer for this company that supplied chemicals for farmers. So he was working for them. Joe Davis was in the Bay Area, and he was in the used airplane parts business. And
so he knows Tom literally.
Well, he knows a lot of people in
Avalite Aviation. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So anyway, the military, when they abandoned this place, the city of Dos Palace came in and ground up 20 acres of asphalt, took it into town and made streets out of it.
Where was the asphalt at?
What?
Where was the asphalt at?
Out here.
So roads leading up to it?
It was 20 acres of asphalt.
Oh, boy, we'd love to have that.
They trained 5,000 pilots here during the war. This was a complete city. It had a movie theater, it had a bowling alley, it had a post office, it had a swimming pool. The swimming pool is still here. But
so the building is pretty much, all those buildings are gone, and what's left that I see.
This is only not even half of what was here. The military built this place in 90 days, and we have it on film.
They went up to...
Wow. Where is that archived at? You know, is it online in the city?
It's not online.
It's not accessible.
It's not. It was originally filmed in with I forget what millimeter film it was filmed, silent film. And then one of our old trainees here, who was a doctor in Fresno, he took the film home, put it on tape to begin with, and then he put a soundtrack to it. He went in his garage, and he got a hammer, and he got some hand saws, and he put a soundtrack to it. And then it was, and now we have it on CD. Yes.
How do you get there?
You talk to Joe Davis. We'll find out.
Okay.
Okay. So, getting back to the drag racing. Drag racing, it was I was born and raised on a farm.
What else are you going to do? What else is there to do? Except as a teenager, but
right.
You know, you get your testosterone out and race it. So.
I was born in one of the largest dairy farms at the time in this area. Very early on, I learned I didn't like to be with cows. So, in order to stay away from the cows, I would work on the equipment. The equipment broke down. If I didn't know how to fix it, I went into town to the car dealerships, and I talked to the old mechanics, and they told me what I needed to do. So I learned my mechanical skills that way.
Wow.
And so then I had a love for vintage cars. So working on the farm, I never got any. My food and my clothing were my payment for living there.
Right.
So if I wanted spending money, I went down the road and I hauled the neighbor's field of hay, which we had plenty to haul. So sometimes, instead of being paid in cash for doing work, I would take an old car and trade. My first car was a '29 Chevrolet. I still own it.
Wow.
The 50 Ford Club Coupe was my third car. I still own it. The 54 Ford Victoria was my fourth car. I still own it.
Where do you keep all this car?
Well, I own 10 acres.
Oh.
So, and I owned over 70 cars at one time, and I still have about 36 of them.
And look at my father and say that he would go down the list with me. Would you like to bring him over and include him? Let me bring him over here. Hold on a second.
All right. That's for you. You stink.
I already gave him one. I gave him 2 different ones, so if he doesn't like the one, Ralph says he likes it. Ralph said he likes it.
I'm going to bring him over here.
You like it?
Yes.
One's yes, and then
Nick, Richard, Tino. No, his name is Tino. Tino Grome, right? Gomes, I'm sorry.
Portuguese.
hello.
Right.
How are you?
You know the hall down in Martinez.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well.
I had a family down there who were in the dairy business.
Hear that, David?
And you were how old?
90 tomorrow. Come on, Dad, have a seat.
90.
Have a seat right here.
Well, you got 10 years on me.
He is telling me about the cars he has.
Oh
Okay.
boy, you might be there all night.
Well, we won't go long. It's just... So we're here with my dad. His wife, I always get in trouble with her. And Tino. Tino?
Yes.
Okay, Tino. So Tino has always said he was going down the list of all the cars he owned. How many of you own?
About 700.
How many's he had?
700. He's bullshitting. But he had 700.
That's cool.
He had a 51 Merc he paid. How much for it?
I still have a 51 Merc. I still have a 54 Merc.
Yeah, but
I
he
still
sold
have a
the
fif-
best one, the 55.
I still have a 55 Merc. I still have a 56 Merc.
Wow.
I was Buicks and Mercuries were
Sounds like
my
his.
passion. Where do I have them all?
They closed?
Not all of them, no. Unfortunately, I don't have enough buildings for all of them. But that didn't stop me from collecting.
Okay. So, he has attention because you were talking about something that we were talking about earlier
What year did you
about
sell it?
how many cars you had, how many cars he had. He said he had 700, 600. So I asked him one day to write them all down.
But that was a lot of money.
And I stopped counting at 599. It was 600 or something. And he has a mind of, he remembers every one of them.
Right.
But not my birthday, it isn't my birthday, it's my father's. So, back to Eagle Field.
Okay, back to-
Well, he's talking.
So Joe Davison decided that him and I need to have some conversations about this drag racing thing. So Joe Davis and I, we had about 24 breakfasts at Denny's, and so I could explain to Joe about drag racing. So I told Joe that if we could make this drag racing happen, it would put Eagle Field on the map. And I could tell him everything he needed to know about drag racing. Well, he wanted to know